my stitch class. Don't worry if you don't have a sewing machine. Today we'll be covering basics that can be done either by hand or with a sewing machine. We'll be going through the basics of threading the machine, as well as threading a needle, making a pattern, and of course, sewing. So to start, I have my older home sewing machine, and I pulled this guy out because if you are sewing at home, most home sewing machines are similar to this, and you should be able to follow along if you're not sure how to thread your machine. Most home machines have a basic layout or a numbered pattern in which to follow and how you're going to thread your machine. This one has a numbered pattern to tell you how you should be threading the machine. Okay. If you want to follow along, I'll show you as I thread my machine. Any color will do, it doesn't matter. Now, I'm going to thread the needle. If you do happen to have a needle threader, this would be a good time to use it. Or if you just have really good eyes, knock yourself out. Of course, you want to try and make sure your thread tip isn't splaying out. I have pretty good eyes, but even sometimes I need some help. Looks like today's one of those days. So, in my little pocket here, see if I have a threader. Doesn't look like I do. So I'm just going to snip that end and try again. Ta-da! Okay. I'm going to make sure that I pull out a few inches of thread so that when I start sewing, the thread is not pulled away and out of whatever I'm sewing. Okay. Now, we're going to thread our bobbin. To do that, of course, you first place the bobbin on the bobbin spool. I'm going to turn your machine on. Put your bobbin in a position to actually wind. Lightly step on the pedal. Okay. Now you're going to open your bobbin chamber. You're going to put in your bobbin. Every machine may have a different way you put your bobbin in. There's usually an indicator on how your thread should come out of your bobbin once you place it in. In this instance, I drop in the bobbin and I loop it around the two notches that are inside the way it is in the diagram. Close it up. Now, you want your bobbin string to come through the center of the feed dog, which is what holds your material in the middle there. So hold on to your top thread and hand wind your needle so that it will pick up the bobbin thread. Once it does that, you can use something to slide in between and pull out those now looped together pieces. Okay. And your machine is now all set and ready to go. Now we're going to thread a regular needle. I'm going to take my black thread here. I'm just going to give myself a lot of thread to work with. And if you have that needle threader, you can use it now. Actually going to go get one just so those who may not have one knows what it looks like. Give me one moment. This is a typical needle threader. Okay, I'm going to kind of zoom in so you can see up close. There we go. You would stick the middle part into the eye of the needle, like so. Then put your thread in. It's not easy to do behind the camera. Okay, and then you're going to pull that out. So don't put too much thread in. And yep, there we go, effortless. Even if you are good at threading your needle, I would still recommend having one on hand. You never know. You might have a day and you just don't feel like it. Save yourself the drama and just use the tools that we have at our disposal. Just going to knot the end of this string. Still going. Okay. Just a slip knot. Nothing fancy. Nothing fancy. Just waiting for some focus here. There we go. Okay. Alrighty, now we're going to make our first pattern. So the only thing you will need to do to make this pattern, a piece of paper and something to write with. This one is a little complicated, but I think you guys can handle it. Okay? You're going to start. Give yourself about an inch or so of space from the top of your page, start at the center, and you're going to freehand draw a circle. Not too big, not too small, just enough that you have that same amount of distance on the sides of your page as you gave yourself from the top of the page. It doesn't have to be perfect. This is what you should have, something like that. And guess what? You're done. This is your pattern. For a bonus, for those who might be a bit more advanced, try an oval. The more narrow you make the ends, you'll see why I call this a bonus, because it's going to be a challenge. Okay. So you're all done with your patterns. Let's get to the fun part. Let's get sewing. So I like to start people off with paper when I'm teaching them how to sew, because it's rigid, it's responsive, and you give a little bit more control when you have such a wide surface to practice on. if you're trying to get better, you can really see where your strengths and weaknesses lie as you move. And if you're just practicing for fun, or you just, seeing what you can do with it, you can always save yourself from buying fabric and use that old junk mail. So let's get some stitches on this paper now. Any point you choose, just go on in. Slowly, with control. You want to make sure that you're not poking yourself in the back. So if you can see your fingers through the paper, great. If not, place your hands further away from anywhere you have drawn your shape and go right on in, slowly. There will be no mistakes if you take your time. You are simply going front to back. This is a rather large needle, so I'm going to be making rather large stitches. No need to come all the way down to your knot, and leave yourself a little extra string so that you don't accidentally pull it out. Although we're just going front to back of the page, we tend to take for granted the fact that our mind has to coordinate with our hands to follow this pattern. Bravo if you are doing this without flipping the page over, because you can if you can see the line through the other side. If it's easier for you, definitely go through, and I'm going to do it this way. No judgment here. You can always pull it tight when you come back through. You may not realize it, but you are in a focused, moving meditation right now. You are present in the moment. Even if it's just to make sure that you don't accidentally puncture your finger. Thank you for this small moment. Thank yourself for giving yourself this small moment. This small amount of time to reduce your blood pressure, focus and center your emotions while you're doing a physical activity. If you are sewing by hand, continue to go all the way around your shape. I'm going to stop here, and I'm going to move on to the machine, or to those who may be using a sewing machine. Okay, so for those of you who have been waiting to step on the pedal, here we go. To start, you want to make sure that you do have enough length on your top and bottom threads, 3 inches or more. You want to set your machine stitch widths to be what would be a basting stitch length, or what maybe one of the wider stitches if you're using a manual machine. So for me, that would be the 4.8 or anything over 4. This will give us a nice wide stitch for practice. We don't want to be too small on the stitch because it may tear or drag the paper. Now we're going to take our sensory motor network up a notch. That's sciencey talk for focus our attention. And we'll be doing this while making ourselves present, and at the same time reducing anxiety yet adding stress.
And that stress really is required to increase our focus and concentration. I've never sewn my fingers in all the years that I've been sewing, and I'm not going to start today. So first, you want to make sure that we place our needle in alignment with our pattern before we drop the presser foot. To make sure, we're going to manually align the needle, bring it down to see if we are in fact touching that line. Just going to bring this a little closer so you can see. Now we're going to be placing our hands only on the side of the paper. Your hand should never be close to your needle when you're sewing. All you need to do is to guide the paper. So your hands should be well enough away from the paper, but not so far that you're not able to control and guide it. Only thing we need to do is follow that pattern line. While holding your paper in place, you're going to press on the pedal slowly. If you need to pause. It's okay. I just don't want anyone to say they were following my tutorial and now they have stitches up their arm. Take your time. Move slowly. I'm going to have to pause because I don't think you guys will be able to hear me when the machine is going. I appreciate you taking your time, giving yourself this time. Allow the machine to do the work. All you need to do is guide it in the direction you want it to go. It doesn't have to be perfect, guys. This is why we practice. It's actually quite a bit more difficult to do with a camera in your lap, but I was able to see most of it through the needle because you want to be able to see while you're moving. If you have the type of presser foot that is clear, or maybe it has the slits in the middle, great. It allows you to see the line as it's going into the machine and underneath the needle. But that's pretty much it. You've done your first pattern. You have made some beautiful stitches, I'm sure. And you have done a moving meditation today. Bravo. And that's it, guys. I hope you were really able to be present today, and I hope you learned a lot about your machines and some basics on sewing. I do want to challenge those who want to be a bit more advanced to really express yourself. Give yourself a more complicated pattern. You can do it with thread or without, and work on your control. Going around smaller curves. Those who may have tried the oval, reach out. Let me know how it worked for you. If you are interested in learning more sewing basics, or you would like to join one of my more advanced sewing classes,
reach out at aroara.info. It's aroara.info at gmail.com, and just mention cutting up. That's CUTTIN space UP, and let me know what type of classes you're interested in. Have a great day.